that cable's got problems. Your battery isn't charging and the internet's first answer is usually wrong. It may not be the alternator, it may not be the battery, and it's definitely not just old cars do that. And a battery that won't stay charged is a charging system problem, and the alternator is just one component in it. So let's walk through the order to test things, so that way you can find the real problem. So I'm gonna crack open this dead unit, and once you're inside, you've basically got 3 jobs happening at once. And the first is you have the rotor, which is the electromagnet spinning in the middle. And then second, you have the stator, so the spinning magnetic field that is generated by the rotor inside the stator is what makes electricity. So down here in the bottom, you have the rectifier and the diode bridge. This is what moves the AC current to DC current and turns it into something useful. So the diodes are one-way doors for electricity. They allow current to flow one way, but not the other. When a diode fails, current can flow the wrong way and can drain the battery overnight. And if a diode fails, it can lower the output voltage. Over here, this is the voltage regulator. And those carbon brushes are what contact the rotor and turn this into an electromagnet that creates the magnetic field that makes the power in the stator. And on a GM3 wire, you've got 3 wires, and each one has a purpose. This big one, that's the output that runs to the battery. You have the exciter, which is what comes from the battery light. Power flows through the light to the exciter, and when the alternator is spinning and making current, light goes out. And then you have the voltage sense wire, and this is the one that detects what the voltage is coming out of the alternator, and it tells the voltage regulator to go up or down accordingly. See, and that's the thing. When you understand it, this spinny electronic wizard machine doesn't seem so scary anymore, does it? Let's start testing so there's no guessing. And just because the symptom is not charging doesn't mean it's the alternator. Remember, charging is a loop. Step 1 in every electrical diagnostic you ever do, you need to know the battery that the voltage is starting at. I got 12.26. If you see a voltage under 12, you might want to consider putting a charger on it and bringing everything up to health first. Now, the very next thing you want to do with the engine off, don't do it with the engine running. I want you guys to keep all your fingers. What's the condition of the belt? This one is old, hard, and slightly glazed. But if the belt is loose, if it's got lots of slop in it, it's not going to spin the alternator. That could be a basic reason why you're not charging. The other thing worth doing, with moderate effort, if the alternator pulley isn't going to spin, that's a good sign. It means it's tight enough to work. So despite my uninspiring belt, it looks like this ought to work just fine. The next thing we want to do, start it up and run it at idle. Give it a second, let everything normalize. We want to see 13.8 volts or higher, 14.4 is textbook perfect. Rev it up a little bit. If the voltage picks way up or drops way off, that's an interesting sign that things are a problem. Now, if you're still seeing just straight up 12 volts, that could also be a problem. Things are not quite right. Now, if you're seeing over 14.4 volts, that's a sign that things are likely overcharging. Overcharging cooks things. HEI ignition modules to name the most prevalent and voltage sensitive on this car. But if you've got aftermarket radios and stuff in there, those are also a little bit sensitive to voltage too. Next, you're going to want to check under a load. Turn on the headlights, turn on the blower motor, turn on all of the electrical circuits, and see what the alternator puts out at. Did that change anything? Mine dropped about 0.4 of a volt. I'm not particularly worried about it on this one because it still stayed above 14 volts. That's a good sign. If it doesn't, that could mean any number of things. The alternator may have problems internally. Yes, I said it, but we still got to check the rest of the system first. The next thing we got to check is, with it running, what is the output of the alternator giving us? And is it different than what the battery is seeing? So let's just say you are seeing a little bit of a difference between the alternator output and the battery. Put one probe on the output of the alternator and the other probe on the positive terminal of the battery. You can see that if there is a discrepancy, you're going to see it come across the meter. Hundredths of a volt, negligible at best. But if that number is high, that's a good sign that that cable is corroded and needs to be replaced or at least looked at. And sometimes those outputs go through fusible links, and fusible links can be a problem. Okay, you've done all these tests and things still look strange and it's not charging. Let's check the exciter wire and see if we're getting 12 volts there. Some cars put that connector in a terrible spot. I can't pull that out without the alternator being off the car. So we're going to move over to my El Camino where the plug is actually free. You've got 2 wires on this guy. You've got the small one, that's the voltage sense, and the bigger of the two, that's the exciter. So Pull the plug, test in there, see if you're getting 12 volts with the key on. And while we're here, that voltage sense wire, you might want to probe that and see if you're getting the same voltage as everywhere else in your system. And if that voltage sense wire is not showing the same voltage as the battery, that could be an indicator why it possibly is overcharging. So if you're seeing a lower voltage on that voltage sense wire than everywhere else, find where it ends, clean the connections. So next we can even do a voltage drop on the ground side. You want to hook your meter to the negative terminal on the battery, and you also want to poke at the block and see if you're getting any major voltage discrepancies there. If you are, that cable's got problems. So in doing the voltage drops, you're looking for tiny numbers. 0.1, 0.2 of a volt. Whereas I was seeing 0.09, almost a full tenth of a volt, that means my negative cable on this car probably got some resistance on it. And thinking about it, I don't know if I've ever changed it. So that would be a contributor to charging difficulties if the ground path has problems. So where I'm seeing almost 0.1 of a volt, that probably isn't that big of an issue in the overall scheme of things. However, think of it if you're seeing bigger point somethings, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. Those are definitely indicators there's problems there. So as you can see, the quality of the cables is so wildly important. A bad cable can show like a bad alternator and a charging difficulty. And why is it so important that we have a good ground? The alternator is making positive power, right? And electrical systems have to have a power and a ground. You have to complete the loop. Given that, if you have the alternator off, you may want to buff up those locations where it contacts the block or whatever locating pins that it's on. So what's the point to all this? This is the part that parts canon culture misses every single time. Just because a unit fails doesn't necessarily mean that the reason it failed is because it itself went bad. And if you just swap parts, you may be completely missing the root cause of the problem and be exactly back where you were. And once you're able to look at a bad one and see some of the things that are inside of it, the things make more sense when they fail. You got a slow drain and it's not charging, it could be a diode. You see, this isn't that complicated. You just have to understand what's in there. And if you do all the tests and the alternator is genuinely bad, you don't have other things making your alternator bad, go ahead and change it. I'm not saying that's a bad idea. I'm saying understand everything before you just swap the parts. And in that instance, you've changed the part that mattered because you have all the proof you need. It's my personal opinion that a lot of the things that make a car unreliable are just housekeeping things. Battery terminals corroded, you've got grounds on the frame or block that are gross, clean them up. If you've got that braided cable on the firewall to the engine, make sure that's clean and clear and not broke. If you've swapped an engine recently or done a repaint, those are things that are constantly getting overlooked. I know because I did it. I made that mistake once on my mom's Monte Carlo, and the ground path that it took was through the kickdown linkage to the transmission, and it cooked the kickdown linkage and made a huge mess. Kickdown linkages suck to change in the car. And coming back over to my El Camino, if you're going to change the wires, the powers, the grounds, those kinds of things, don't be afraid to go bigger, but never go smaller. And that's because a smaller wire trying to carry all the current that the original sized wire would, you can burn it to the ground and you've got a very unhappy, sad day there. I've also been known to go to my local welding supplier and have some cables custom made out of braided cable because it's very flexible, and welding cable is intended to carry some significant amperages. It'll carry my stuff just fine. And also take the time to look at the condition of things when the car is warmed up too. Just because that belt looked okay when it was, ice cold as you're sitting here in the driveway, what does it look like after you take it for a drive? We already know that belt is probably at the end of its life, but take a look at it after it's hot. And if it's like showing signs of more problems, change it before it's really a problem. Now, a battery that's sulfated and is legitimately bad, no amount of charging system or alternator is going to help that one out. If it has no current capacity, it means the car probably won't start, but if you jump it, it'll probably start and run just fine till you hit the key, and it doesn't have the capacity to start it back up. New alternator and the light's still on the dashboard? Continue with all the diagnostic stuff. There's something in there, I'm sure. And we didn't start out with, is the alternator bad? We started off with the symptom. It's not not charging. But why is it not charging? We looked at all the things. Battery condition, connections, belt condition. This is the kind of stuff that prevents you from buying another alternator in a month. And if you've just gone through everything like this and everything's healthy, you just learned more about your car and how to keep it running and why it does what it does. And that's the mechanical honesty approach. Nothing should lock you out. The multimeter, better than mystery. And the methodology beats the parts canon every day. And if you're chasing weird electrical gremlins, check out this video on fusible links. That's a failure hiding in plain sight.